that I'm worth taking the time to heal. But that hasn't always been something that I have accepted. It hasn't always been something that I've believed. Um, Many times when I'm supporting others and I listen to their story, it's very easy for me to acknowledge and point out to them all that they have been through and all the reasons why it would be worthwhile for them to take some time, take some time to recover from a relationship that fell short of our expectations or our desires. Um, Taking time after someone has transitioned and we're dealing with grief. Taking time after we've left a job, whether it was on our own accord or forcibly, um, whether it's a marriage, whether it's children, whether it's family. There's so many things that we go through in our lives that it's so easy for us to just gloss past and just keep running and keep going in another direction and uh, just keep trucking away. And this idea of you just got to do what you got to do type of mentality. And it's really interesting that we never think to ourselves, we've got to heal, right? We have to get better. We have to take the time to recover from these things. One of the things that I love about athletics, especially today when there's more information and awareness around the importance of recovering in our bodies, that they're not this infinite thing that could just keep going. Um, is that now you see trainers constantly telling athletes, like, hey, if you feel something, if you're going through something, if you got a pain, you got a twinge, you got an ache, you got some pain, stop. Don't make it worse. Don't exacerbate it by just trying to keep plowing away. But it's also interesting that we don't necessarily apply that to life, that we don't think to recognize when we feel a pain, when we feel an ache, we feel a twinge or a pinch. Many times we ignore it or suppress it, or just tell ourselves that it just comes with life and we diminish it. But we don't realize that trying to just keep walking through it is actually harming us from being able to actually maximize the next moment and the next opportunity, the next relationship, the next job, the next partnership. And so believing that you're worth taking the time to heal isn't just about making yourself feel better. It's about actually investing in yourself because of your outlook for the future. When you take the time to heal, what you're saying to yourself is that you believe in your future. You believe that, hey, I have an opportunity to experience something that I'm truly desiring in my life. And I want to make sure I take the time to heal from this past experience so that I can be prepared for it, so that I can be at my best self, so that I can be in a position where I can step into life and make the most of it. But it starts with your beliefs. It starts with how you see yourself. It starts with what you tell yourself regularly on a day-to-day basis. And it's not easy, man. I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm not gonna act like, this was an overnight process. This has been years. I've probably been on my journey for about a solid 8 years now. 8 years of having to recondition my mind and the narratives that I tell myself, creating new habits, a new outlook, a new structured way in which I live. When I wake up in the morning, believing that I have time to meditate, that I have the time to journal and create a plan for the day out of what feels aligned and good, not the impetus of an alarm clock and the feeling of a scarcity of time to get everything done. Otherwise, life is going to fall apart. You see, I had lived most of my life that way. And unfortunately, like it does for a lot of us, life had to kind of crumble and fall. It had to crash before I was able to stop and say, I need to take a look at how I'm living. But when I did, fortunately, I was blessed enough to be in a position and have enough knowledge and insight, from going to school for psychology and working within my community and supporting others and really being dedicated to the care and the love of others, that I realized I had to internalize a lot of that for myself. Probably, I don't always say this probably enough, but my daughter was a tremendous catalyst for that. Having a child and realizing that how I lived my life was going to directly impact her and how she saw herself in her own world. And that the way I lived, the way that I engaged with myself, the habits that I formed were going to directly inform how she was going to engage with herself. And at that point, it became a responsibility for me to love myself deeply, consistently, persistently, in a dedicated way, because I wanted that for her. I didn't want to teach her that her life didn't matter. I didn't want to teach her that her health wasn't important. I didn't want to teach her that it didn't matter what you went through. You just had to keep plowing through it. I didn't want her to grow up with the same scarcity and fear and anxiety and worry that I had to grow up with. And so that meant for me that I had to begin to embody that. I had to begin to practice something different. That I had to try on saying, you know what? I'm going to do better in my life because I want better for her. And that's something that, parenthood has taught me. That's something that I also recognize was a blessing in disguise, you know, to love someone so much that you're willing to be your best self so that you can be a part of helping shape their world for the better. Frisk Taffy in the chat, what's going on? Says, what separates a rich man from a poor man besides money and fashion? Well, I'll tell you this much, working with a lot of individuals who've been on the spectrum of economics, right? I've worked with people who've been millionaires, and I've worked with people who have been the furthest thing from that. They deal with very similar things. And many times they have very similar narratives that they tell themselves about their life and what their potential is, what is available to them. And for both of them, it constantly comes back to their relationship with themselves. It's constantly coming back to, how do you see yourself in life? What happened in your experience that has created these narratives that have shaped how you see your world? And then at times we're able to offer different narratives, different perspectives that can widen how we view ourselves. You know, one of the things that I try to really encourage just in my practice, not just only in my own individual practice with myself, but also the people I work with, is recognizing that you are an active participant in shaping your world every single day. You are an active participant in your experience. You are a part of what is going on in your world. You have the ability to not just shape it for what it is, but also to shape it for what you want it to be. If you want something different in your life, you have that ability. In the same way that you shaped it for what it currently is, you have the ability to shape it into something else. You have the ability to create new rituals in your life, create new practices, create new behaviors and ways of seeing yourself in relation to the world around you. You can create new narratives through repetition and intentionality. And on the other side of that journey, you can experience a world, relationships, parenthood, a marriage, a family, a community that you're truly desiring. It's worth it. And I think that that's probably like the greatest message from this video, from this live, is you're worth taking the journey. You're worth taking the time to heal from the things that have happened in your past. You're worth taking the time away, stepping back, reflecting, so that you can become the person you're desiring to be, that can be whole, that can be safe and secure within yourself, that can be wiser and more aware, so that you can go into what is potentially there for you to have in your life with confidence. Not because you guarantee nothing is ever going to happen, but because you trust yourself. Not because you've never gotten harmed, but because you've learned how to heal. And that's what this journey is all about. And so if you're looking for support along that journey, hit me up. Hit me up. But I hope you find somebody. And even if you don't find anyone to walk alongside of you for your journey, you always have you. And never, never give up on you.